I've always worn hats. My dad, you probably, if you've met my dad, you've seen him with a cowboy hat. He's never, I mean, maybe 10 times a year that he goes without a cowboy hat. And there's a lot of people that don't know him without one. I was raised around a bunch of cowboys, so I kind of took to it at an early age, but I didn't like the hats off the shelf. So I started messing with them and changing them and making them mine and making them different. Typically the hats that I'm restoring are beaver felt hats or felt hats. They can be made from beaver, rabbit, even nutria, mink, different things. All waterproof animals, basically. They the fibers, the hair on a beaver, it's like a Velcro kind of. So they kind of hook in together and create the mat of the hat. So, for instance, this hat, it's custom made hat just for me by a company in Texas in Lubbock. But if you feel of it, it's really soft. It's finished well. It's been taken care of from start to finish. Hats that you get off the shelf a lot of time won't be the quality that this hat is. So when you're looking for a hat, you want to look for that quality, that feel. This hat's really soft and supple, but it's firm enough to hold its place. There's different kinds of hats. You can buy wool hats, which this is a wool hat that I have here. It's just a lesser quality hat, but it still stand up and be waterproof to an extent. So quality is probably the main thing, and then what you like and what you're going to do with it and how you're going to wear it. Right. Yeah. It's neat to take a hat. So I'll go back to this hat just because it's kind of different than what you see on the norm. I built this for my cousin. She just wanted a hat to wear, like for fashion type hat. So this hat was a wool cowboy hat to start with from the 60s. Okay. So I took it, I pulled the liner out because it was nasty, put a new liner in it. The crown was similar to what this crown has. I put the cross in it and made it unique. You know, you don't see a lot of people around this area wearing a hat that's got that in it. The band and stuff came. This is all handmade. This sunflower is from the 70s. It's a brooch from the 70s that I took the back off of it and made it to fit. So yeah, the creativity, it's kind of up to your imagination. I heard a quote one time from a hat maker. He said, the shape of your hat and the way you wear your hat is limited only by your imagination. So you can do about anything you want to with them, with a skilled person and a good imagination. There's a few that I wear for myself that I really like because one, and then I didn't bring it today, but it's a hat that I got as a kid. I was teenager, and I took it and cut it down. It was a 4-inch brim. I cut it down to a 3-inch and made a completely different hat out of it. But it's 20 plus years old, and it's still just as good as it was the day it came off. In my opinion, it's better. But there's different hats. Like I just finished one for a guy that looked worse than this hat. This is my dad's hat. He's worn it. Look at the inside. It's nasty. And when I finish the other hat, and I hope when I finish this one, it will look like a brand new hat. Yeah, it'll still have some coloration differences and things, but this brim will be completely straight and look nice, and the inside will be new from all the way down to the felt. Yeah, steam is a big part in felt. So basically when they make felt, they take hair fibers and push them through a cone with pressure and steam, and they use some chemicals. But so then they add a shellac type stiffener to them. So steam helps loosen those things up so you can move it around. So if I was just to poke around on this hat, this one's probably not a good example to try it on, but because it is so soft and old. But when you build a hat, you have a block, and the block goes in here and it forms this the crown of it. Then this is the brim. So the block goes in and stops at basically where the sweatband rides. So then you have brim plates. There's so many tools, but a lot of them they're from the 1900s. And there's a lot of guys making hats with equipment from early 1900s.
Is there some pride in doing it by hand?
Oh yeah, I feel like doing it by hand, and a lot of the guys that do hats for a living that I admire, a lot of their stuff's done by hand. Their their sweatbands are sewn in by hand. They're made by hand. Their liners are made by hand. It takes the process of blocking the hat out and making it new again is all done by hand. And that's what I'm trying to do. I don't have a whole lot of expensive equipment to do any of it. Well, patience is one thing that you learn. Obviously, it takes some time in the processes of getting it back to where you want it. A lot of times I'll get kind of frustrated and I'll just put it down. I'll just put the hat down and move on to something else, do something completely different until I can come back and have a clear mind and do it the way that it needs to be done. Also, just letting your mind be creative, like just opening your mind to not necessarily your style and what you would wear, but to what other people want, like the customer wants. So I've just recently started doing it for other people, and so I talk with them and see kind of what they're wanting. This hat is kind of weird, kind of different. It looked similar to this when I got it, which I don't know if it looks better or worse now, but it's for my uncle. He's wanting something to wear hunting and wear his overalls with, and I said, well, do you want a dog patch looking hat or you want something that's a little different? And he said, no, I don't want a dog patch hat. But I took it all the way down. Well, actually, when I got it, it didn't even have a liner and a sweatband. So I put a sweatband and a liner to protect the hat on the inside. And then I shaped it kind of the way he's wanting. I've added little touches. This stuff is not necessary. It's all cosmetic. So just having that creativity and being able to let that out is something that's pretty amazing to me. I really like the cowboy hats just because you can, if you want it to be a cowboy hat, it can be a cowboy hat. And cowboys wear so many different hats. Like I've got a hat at home that's got nearly a 6-inch brim. This is a 5. So that's a big difference when you're talking about a 1 inch all the way around. But I also have cowboy hats that are 3-inch brims, so they're short and squatty. You go out west and the buckaroos and the vaqueros in Mexico and Southern California, they wear really flat brim. It's kind of kicked up in the back, kind of down the front to protect them from the heat and the sun. You go east in the south, their hats are more turned up. They're more because they don't necessarily worry about that. They don't want it catching on brush, and out west there's not any brush to catch on because nothing grows that tall. So cowboy hats are probably my favorite, and that's what I really want to get into. And the end goal is to be to where I can make hats from scratch. Yeah, you called me and I started thinking about it, and I can't help but think of my own faith and how when I was a kid I went to church and I wasn't there every Sunday, and my faith in God was strong, but it wasn't it's super strong. But then I went to college and I kind of got away, and it wasn't until I moved over here with Mary, to to be close to Marianne that I started going back to church and my faith kind of grew. So I see that in a hat where it's dirty and tattered and kind of neglected, and I neglected my own faith. So if you could take that hat and recreate it and make it new again, so can God make us new again. I think just in the variety of hats that I have here today, I've shown that people are different. People, their walk with faith is different, no matter what they look like or how they dress or what they wear. They can believe the same thing as I wear, or believe the same thing that I do, and be completely different and not have anything in common except for that faith. So I think the differences in hats goes along with the differences in people. The best way to do it, and I hope to do it someday, is apprentice with a master hat maker. I've been invited to go and do that with a hat maker in Decatur, Texas. So I hope to get to do that someday. But if you just want to start, get a steamer. You don't even have to have a commercial steamer, just a teapot. Buy an old hat at the flea market and put some steam to it and play with it until you get it to where you like it. You're not really going to hurt them. I mean, they might be too soft and need to be stiffened, but there's ways to learn and do that. I'm pretty much self-taught all of my skills that I have so far, but I learn something every time I mess with one. I would think so, because I mean, just like when you're growing in your faith, your style of hat may change, and just like your faith is going to change. I mean, you might wear a hat like this one day, you might wear a fedora one day, but it's just an evolution of your style. So your faith has to grow and change with your own salvation. They love it. They want to always mess with them, and they want me to do one. So every time I get something shiny and new like this this hat band, Ruby Grace was like, I need a hat to put this other one on. And I'm like, well, we don't have one yet, so we'll have to buy one. So
will you show us some of your hats there?
Yeah. So like I said before, this one's kind of a hillbilly-ish hat. It's just to wear with overalls or whatever. Just, yeah. And then this one is one I'm going to restore for my dad. I'm trying to think which one this one is. It's probably well over 20 years old.
I think I've seen him wear that, have I?
Yeah, for sure. If you've seen him, you've probably seen him wear this one. He's not one to quit wearing something just because it looks.
What's he doing right now then?
He's got another hat, and so I think he's had 4 black hats since I was a kid. I'm nearly 40 years old, so that tells you that one of them I know he wore 20 years, and this one kind of overlapped, and then so this one I made for my cousin. She just wanted something fashion, but she's pretty special to me, so I wanted to do something nice for her. I love the fact on this hat that the band is handmade. The brooch is from the 60s and 70s. The liner inside is actually a silk scarf from the 70s. So I like taking old stuff and making it new again, because I feel like everything needs another chance sometimes. And then I just brought this one just as a different example. I mean, you may catch me on any given day wearing this one versus that, and it's a completely different look. But my family, they all wear cowboy hats. Then none of them, you'll never see my dad, especially, in a fedora. Like
that one looks great on him.
Yeah, and I like the look of it. It's more of a, I like it for casual, just to wear around town. When I put this hat on, I feel like I'm going somewhere. I feel like I'm going, it's somewhere special or something. But hats like this, I just can wear around, go to the grocery store or whatever. But to know that, men wore hats in the years ago, but we've kind of gotten it away from it, and I can't stand to see people not dressed nicely. It's just people wear jeans and t-shirt all the time, and even people that went to work in the 40s doing hard labor, they wore nicer looking clothes. They might not have been the most expensive, but I like to dress nicely, and a hat kind of just finishes it off. I think it translates really well, because when I was in college, I ran with a bunch of guys that didn't have any faith. They were not raised in the church. They partied, and I did too, and I'm not saying anything against them for that, but I got away from my faith and my struggles and tried to fit in. And I think your faith is not always the most popular choice, and people will judge you for it, just like they judge for the clothes you wear, the hat you wear. So I think that you need to stand strong in your faith, just like you do in your personality, and let your personality and your faith shine through.
Anything else you want to share with us today?
If you need some hats worked on, let me know.